face recognition system, which has been developed in the laboratory of my colleague, Professor Christoph von der Malsberg. It's an extraordinarily excellent model of human face recognition.
Dr. Biederman, I presume.
There are applications of the model that have been used in access to, in banks, to certain high security areas, and some of these applications are probably not disclosed publicly.
Dr. Biederman, I presume.
Can the computer recognize a face if it's on a photograph? The answer is yes, absolutely, no problem whatsoever. The design of the system was inspired by what we know about the first stages at which the brain receives information from the eyes.
Michael Herman, I presume.
A year ago, my face was recorded by the face recognition system. It was stored as a pattern of activation. And it captured a new frame, a new image of my face. And my pose was not necessarily identical. I could have been had a slightly different orientation. And my expression could have differed.
Dr. Biederman, I presume.
I was amazed by its performance. Until that time, I never thought I'd see a computer be able to recognize faces in my lifetime. In fact, I thought maybe the sun would burn out before we'd ever be able to solve that problem. What a cognitive neuroscientist does is try to understand how we get mind from brain. And so the great problem in vision and in cognitive neuroscience is how a completely novel pattern that's painted onto our retina can be understood in a fraction of a second. I mean about 100 milliseconds.
Faites bien attention aux images qui vont suivre. Vous allez faire un test de reconnaissance visuelle. Allez-vous détecter Albert Einstein parmi les différents visages qui vont défiler sur votre écran? Vous aurez 2 chances de reconnaître Einstein. La série de photos sera diffusée 2 fois de suite. C'est à vous. Top. Deuxième fois. Top.
The perceptual test that you just had at looking for Einstein in a series of rapid pictures is, for most people, an enjoyable experience. You probably felt a feeling of accomplishment, of joy at being able to detect Albert Einstein's face in that sequence. So there are separate systems in the brain, one for objects and one for faces. The condition whereby a lesion causes a loss of the ability to recognize faces is called prosopagnosia.
What you do in a billisecond or a millisecond takes me several seconds, and it's a conscious process. My name is Michael J. Herman. I live in Los Angeles, California. I'm... Why
do you belong to this documentary?
I belong to this documentary because I have trouble identifying faces. And this film has to do with technology being able to recognize faces and identify people. Well, computers are better at doing that than I am.
Maybe it was 6 or 8 months ago, there was an art fair. I saw Michael walking down the street. And I walked over, and he was walking down the street, and I started walking next to him. And I walked probably 100 yards.
I was ignoring you.
He had no idea who I was.
Did I see you?
Yes. He kept looking at me and didn't say a word until I started talking to you. And then he immediately knew who I was.
Sorry. How do faces look to me? Well, I see faces, I see them visually, but it's like a language barrier. You speak, let's say you speak French only and I speak English only. I hear the language, I hear the words coming out of your mouth. I know that there's communication. I know that you're saying words, but I don't know what they mean. So it's not like I don't understand it or I don't hear it. I hear the words, they just don't have any meaning to me. The same thing is with faces. I see the faces, I see two eyes and a nose and a mouth and ears and a receding hairline or the shape of the face, but there's no memory, there's no meaning to it to me. So while the face is saying something to me, I cannot always understand what the information is.
Michael, our prosopagnosic individual, is interesting in this respect because his lesion causes him to do face recognition like we would be playing chess. So he's always scanning faces, trying to figure out, is there something about this face that possibly could be familiar? And for him, it's a terribly difficult and engaging cognitive activity.
The reason why I wanted to be studied by science is because I've had this problem since I was a child, and I've amassed an incredible knowledge of how to cope with the phenomena of not being able to recognize faces.
Michael, it's a pleasure having you today.
Thank you.
Michael,
It's always nice to see you.
So we're going to be doing some additional testing. Michael Mangini here will give you additional instructions.
What we'd like you to do is, you do know who Albert Einstein is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Was.
Or was. We have a number of pictures of people making faces in here. One of the people in here is Albert Einstein. When you decide that it's not Albert Einstein, what we're also very interested in is how you know that it is not.
That's not Albert Einstein.
Okay. And how did you know?
He never smiled like that.
A lot of the faces are going to be rather strange, so including Albert.
Plus, I think that's a woman.
Okay.
I have to tell you that the way I would probably recognize Albert Einstein from the pictures that I've seen of him before is from his hair. So that's not him.
Okay. Go ahead and put it on the side and we'll look here at a second time.
Okay. Like I said, black and white pictures are very difficult. I think that might be him because of the hair. I don't think that is, because I don't remember Albert Einstein having such a long neck and such kind of hair as that. The more I look at these, the more I wonder if I'll even recognize Albert Einstein. I don't know.
So this is maybe...
I don't think so. I don't think he's that heavy. I think this is Albert Einstein. So far, this is the #1 contender. It's a girl. That's not me. When I say that, do we stop or we go through the rest of the list?
We're going to go through all of them.
That might be him too. Well, we'll do a process of elimination,
Right. Okay.
and then we'll thin out the possibility list. Possibly.
Go ahead and lay them all out. Look at them all and decide which one.
Or give us the best choice and then the rest.
Of all of them, I would say that this is the most likely, because I remember of all the busts I've ever seen of Albert Einstein, he has hair down to his shoulders. And none of these have that. And there are reasons why I thought each one of these might have been, but I'm going to go with this one. Is that him? Woohoo! But it often takes me that long to figure out if somebody's somebody that I need to know.
Good.
Well, most people do that like that. It takes me that long to figure out who somebody is. Sometimes.
Michael, Herman, I praise you.
At the very beginning, I told him there's absolutely no promise of any cure or any improvement. That our interests, I told him, are really selfish in a sense. We want to learn more about this condition, want to learn how the brain works.
I think that the only way to really learn about how computers and devices can recognize faces is by learning how people like us, like me, cannot recognize faces. In other words, you cannot know how something works unless you know how something else does not work, right? The last thing that I want to say is that if anybody has a disability or maybe even prosopagnosia, whatever your limitation is in life, don't give up, because the only way you're going to make a mark in the world for yourself is by keep on keeping on. And that's, my whole life is never give up. Never give up, and always remember that you can do it.
Non, je ne me souviens plus du nom du bal perdu. Ce dont je me souviens, c'est de ces amoureux qui ne regardaient rien autour d'eux. Il y avait tant d'insouciance dans leurs gestes émus. Alors quelle importance, le nom du bal perdu. Non, je ne me souviens plus du nom du bal perdu. Ce dont je me souviens, c'est qu'ils étaient heureux, les yeux au fond des yeux. Et c'était bien. Et c'était bien. Et puis quand l'accordéoniste s'est arrêté, ils sont partis. Le soir tombait dessus la piste, sur les gravats et sur ma vie. Il était redevenu tout triste, ce petit bal qui s'appelait, qui s'appelait, qui s'appelait, qui s'appelait. Non, je ne me souviens plus du nom du bal perdu. Ce dont je me souviens, c'est de ces amoureux qui ne regardaient rien autour d'eux. Il y avait tant de lumière avec eux dans la rue. Alors la belle affaire, le nom du bal perdu. Non, je ne me souviens plus du nom du bal perdu. Ce dont je me souviens, c'est qu'on était heureux, les yeux au fond des yeux. Et c'était bien.